And right now, the Snyder remains closed just south of Westport Road. An overturned semi closed the northbound side of the interstate early this morning, and it continues, detouring drivers onto LaGrange Road. No injuries were reported, but as you can imagine, it has caused delays for people traveling northbound. A tow truck there is on site trying to remove that semi. We'll keep you posted when things open back up. It was the first day of school 2.0. Today, our JCPS buses were filled with elementary and middle school students for the first day starting the school year since last Wednesday. The district implemented the staggered return in hopes of working out the transportation kinks before all 96,000 kids return to class. So how did the bus stop fare with families, and how many more chose to take their kids to school instead? We have team coverage here at noon with Travis Brees, who spent the morning at bus stops across Louisville. But first, Jim Stratman, who just spoke with JCPS and a number of families trying to avoid the transportation issue altogether.
Yeah, that's right, Brooke. We know that for the last 6 days, JCPS officials have been working tirelessly to try to come up with what they call short-term fixes for the busing situation that we saw last week. Now, the big question today is, did those fixes work? Were the families most impacted last week feeling any change today? Bus 7 of 13 is unloading at Goldsmith Elementary just before school starts at 9:40. It's not perfect, but JCPS officials say that today isn't about perfect.
We have to get kids back in school, so we had to do what we could to streamline processes and to ensure that our bus drivers know where they're going and have the support that they need. But that does mean there will be delays.
Delays that could range from 4 minutes to 40 minutes.
You nervous? For what?
Courtney and her daughter Adelaide were caught in the latter. Adelaide is going into the first grade. As she and her mom waited for the bus off of Buccal Bank Road, flashbacks to last Wednesday crept in.
I don't have a choice but to take her to school. I mean, I can't sit here forever. Yeah, I mean, school's going to start soon. We're going to have to go to school. So
that means a 20-minute commute downtown to Lincoln Elementary.
Yeah, it was a magnet program I got her into, but I only did that because I knew that there was transportation for her. It sucks. This is silly. It's actually really ridiculous.
Courtney told me later that her daughter's bus tags had been changed over the weekend and that they were not told about that. That's an issue that JCPS communications staff says can get fixed quickly. Caroline Callahan, the JCPS Chief of Communication Carolyn Callahan did tell me that they will be working on long-term fixes here in the next number of weeks to try to solve these problems, ultimately so that the students in the district can worry more about getting into the classroom, learning that kind of stuff, as opposed to how are they going to get home at night. Brooke?
All right, thanks so much, Jim. Travis Priest spent the morning traveling around Louisville, where we found a number of bus delays, some shorter this time around, but that's not really the biggest concern for parents.
Families were back out at the bus stops Friday morning, just like all of these folks we saw off of South Hurstbourne Parkway. The ones we spoke to said their buses were at least 30 minutes late, all of them hoping to get back into the classroom and back into a routine. About 3 buses stopped here between 7:30 and 8:20 Friday morning. Families holding their breath to see if it was theirs.
It's like a new school year, new classes, all of it is new.
Dania Gonzalez was waiting with her mom and younger sibling to go to Marion C. Moore Middle School. Added to their stress, Dania has been homeschooled for the last 3 years.
My bus is supposed to come in 7:20.
So it's currently 7:50. Are you worried at all?
Kind of.
She still had not been picked up when we left at 8:20.
My only complaint was the school not answering the phone after school release, me not knowing where she's at.
Maisha Mosley works from home, so she is able to take her daughter to school if it comes to that. She says it's the ride home that is the most worrisome.
And she's calling, telling me she's hungry and she has to go to the bathroom and things like that. So, they eat lunch pretty early and then them not getting home until 3 hours later.
Erin Hinson is happy with her son's bus.
Have a good day, pal.
It arrived within 6 minutes of its scheduled time and arrived at school 20 minutes after the first bell. On the other end of the spectrum is Berkeley Collins.
Honestly, it kind of makes me feel a little bit powerless.
Even after days and days of calling her daughter's elementary school, she still does not have an afternoon bus stop.
I ended up having car trouble and kitchen plumbing trouble at the same time.
So Friday, she couldn't let her daughter Arai go to school because she would have had no ride home.
I expected to always have that bus and rely on that transportation from the school. I shouldn't feel bad that I don't have the tools necessary right now to get them to school.
With photojournalist Nelson Reyes, Travis Breeze, WHAS11 on your side.
Now, while the bus tracking app is not ready for parents just yet, the district says it should be available in the coming weeks. It is being developed by T-Mobile and EDU Log, which is a tech company, and it may be new for JCPS, but it's already being used in other parts of Kentuckiana. Greater Clark County uses an app called Ride 360, and although the initial rollout had some hiccups, overall it's helped give parents peace of mind.
The old saying when they say on the news, 10 o'clock, do you know where your kid's at? They can look up at their app and see where their kid's at all times.
In Greater Clark, the average student was dropped off just about 10 to 15 minutes late on the first day of school. No official word on when JCPS will begin rolling out that app. If your family does have any issues today, we want to hear from you. It's easy. Just text us at 502-582-7290. Well, just about 30 minutes ago, we received a new update from the officer-involved shooting in Jeffersonville, Indiana on Tuesday night. It turns out Richard Glass's run-in with officers started well before the standoff on Tuesday. 65-year-old Glass was shot and killed during an officer-involved shooting at the North Shore Apartments in downtown Jeff. Today, Major Isaac Parker with Jeffersonville Police said earlier that afternoon, Glass called police saying someone broke into his home. Well, when officers arrived, they did not find any evidence of a burglary and noted that Glass was acting strangely. Later that day, officers were sent to his apartment on a welfare check due to some disturbing comments he'd made to a neighbor. And then Glass called police himself, saying a neighbor was hacking his phone. So when Jeff police got there, Glass wouldn't open the door, saying he didn't believe the officers were actually with police.
Every individual in proximity of the Avia North Shore Apartments was in grave danger due to the actions of Mr. Glass. Counteractions taken by our officers potentially preserved the lives of many.
Around 11:30 p.m., Glass fired his weapon from inside that apartment complex 2 or 3 times. And according to Hulls, a Jeffersonville Police Department SWAT team officer fired and struck Glass, killing him. No others were injured. The entire incident was said to have taken about 3 hours. And we'll have continuing coverage of this update beginning on air tonight at 4 o'clock. A teenage girl suffered life-threatening injuries Thursday night from a shooting in the Park Hill neighborhood. Officers said it happened just before 8 near 26th Street and Virginia Avenue. The girl had been shot multiple times. Anyone with information is encouraged to call that anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD. Well, LMPD detectives are also looking for a kidnapping suspect who they say chained a woman to the floor of a Park Hill home. Neighbors called police Wednesday night after a woman was seen screaming for help from inside a Bowling Avenue house. Officers tried to go in through the front door, but it was barricaded. So they climbed a ladder to the second floor. The incident captured on someone's cell phone video and posted to social media. Inside that home, police found the woman with a chain around her neck bolted to the floor. Police say the suspect is wanted on multiple charges, including kidnapping. A Shively man who killed his wife and shot his child was sentenced to 25 years in prison this week. Ronald Burdett pleaded guilty to murder and assault in June. He admitted to shooting his wife last July before turning the gun on his 11-year-old twins. His daughter was shot, but his son was not and managed to call 911. During that sentencing yesterday, Burdett said he was influenced by drugs.
What happened that night wasn't planned, intended, or even considered in my mind that night. I've always heard that messing with drugs will ultimately get you put in 1 or 2 places, and that's in jail or in the grave.
Just like to say, there is no justice today. These 4 kids ultimately lost their dad today, and they already lost their mom. So now they have nobody. They have nobody but family who's divided over all this. So there is no justice.
Burdett will spend at least 20 years in prison before he is eligible for parole. Dozens gathered in front of the Scott County Courthouse Thursday to honor a friend and first responder whose life was tragically cut short this week. Deputy Director and paramedic Devonna Shulin passed away suddenly on Tuesday after giving birth to a healthy baby boy. Fire and EMS crews from across southern Indiana joined Shulin's family for a candlelight vigil. Our Taylor Woods and Elijah McKenzie shared just how much she meant to this community.
That will lift us out of a time of distress.
Candles lit outside the Scott County Courthouse to honor the life of Scott County EMS Deputy Director Devonna Shulin.
She's always been good to people. I mean, wanted to help people with just different things. Ever since she was a little girl.
Shulin was a strong woman, grounded in her faith, who was devoted to her husband, 3 children, and job. She lost her life unexpectedly due to complications of childbirth. Shulin gave birth to a healthy baby boy named Maverick, and every time her father sees his new grandson, he sees his daughter.
Devonna, that was the last thing she left us, was him.
Shulin's father, Joseph Sears, is proud of his grandchildren.
They're amazing kids. My granddaughter, she's not like her mom. She's fearless. Devonna was always kind of a fearless little girl.
Shulin was known to many as a respected teacher and EMS deputy director with a work ethic that was unmatched. Over a dozen EMS, fire departments, prosecutors, and public officials from different counties came out, including the mayor of Scottsburg and his wife.
But I didn't know how the people felt about her until now.
Co-workers say her devotion to community and the road she carried throughout Scott County spoke volumes.
Anytime we were on the road, we were jamming out to music. She loved music, she loved listening to music, she loved to hear me sing, and we just sing all the way back from whether it was Louisville, whether it was Clark County, it didn't matter. We just had the time of our lives.
In Scottsburg, Taylor Woods, WHAS11 on your side.
Shulin's funeral service is scheduled for Saturday at noon at First Christian Church in Scottsburg.